and welcome to the For Her Empire podcast. I'm your guest. I want to say guest. I'll try again. Hello, and welcome to. Oh, wow, I'm nervous. Sorry, I'm getting nervous.
You're fine. Don't be nervous.
Yeah,
Doing
I'm
great.
getting nervous. Right. Hello, and welcome to the For Her Empire podcast. I'm your host, Abby Moucher. And in this podcast, we address the personal and the business issues that female entrepreneurs face in their day-to-day lives. My guest today is Mallory Herrera. Hi, Mal.
Hello.
So, Mallory is a web designer. And today we want to talk about what female entrepreneurs need to know about website design and SEO. And who better than an actual web expert? So,
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous. So can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Absolutely. So I got into web design kind of randomly. I went to school for IT, but I didn't really want to sit in a cubicle and just do coding stuff for the rest of my life. So I didn't really work with it. I stayed in mostly the restaurant business. I became a certified sommelier and kind of just went that route. I liked meeting new people and getting out there and being on my feet. And then I had my son and my world entirely shifted. Working nights and weekends and holidays and restaurants wasn't really working anymore. And then my husband is also active duty military. So we are constantly moving and having to pick up my business and restart it over and over and over again was, really kind of annoying to say the least. So I was tired of always being kind of unemployed and tired of always having to go job hunting and worrying about what area that we were going to live in because we're in the Army. The Army does not have great spots. So we were typically in the middle of nowhere. So it makes for a difficult kind of working environment. So I finally said, screw it. And I decided to start working online. And I did like what most people, I think, do when they start working online. I started a blog and kind of had that going and basically took every course I could find about how to make the best website, how to use WordPress, because WordPress is a little different than trying to custom code stuff. So I took all of these courses about how to have a successful business and how to run all of this stuff, to courses on marketing and so on and so forth. And then I ended up getting into kind of the avenue of like the virtual assistants and social media managers and kind of falling into a little bit with that crowd and seeing how you could have a business. And then as I was kind of going that route, I ended up realizing, I actually really like doing the technical side of things. I mean, that's what I had a background in. I just never did anything with it. So now I have not only the background of working with, the technical aspects of the internet, but I also have the new knowledge of WordPress and marketing and things along those lines. And then SEO, because that is a whole thing all on its own. And so now I'm able to kind of put those pieces together and work with clients and help them move forward. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster learning experience for me, but it's been fantastic. And now I can't imagine ever going back to a quote unquote real job.
Yeah. And so I know you have a female business partner. How did you find her? Like a Craigslist ad or something, or like a Facebook post?
Actually, so when I was going through like the starting my own freelancing business kind of route, she and I had ended up taking the same course about that, and it came with like a private Facebook group kind of deal. So we met each other in there, and funnily enough, we were chatting and we became friends, and she actually had her own web design business, and then I had my web design business, but we never really were competitors about it. I would ask her questions about how to how to work on different pieces of a site, and she would come to me with the same kind of stuff, and we would just kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And we did that for about a year until we finally said, you know what, this is stupid. Why don't we just work together? So we finally got together and we rebranded and we relaunched a business together. But what throws a lot off is the fact that I'm in the United States and she is in Canada, and we have never actually met in person.
Yeah, yeah. When you said sat down and put it together, I was like, oh, physical meeting.
No, we use a lot of Voxer, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, we do all of our meetings are all online. That's how we met. That's how we do all of our stuff. We do Zoom calls with each other and chat on Voxer pretty much daily. And that's kind of it. That's how we've done that. We had plans to try to meet up this summer, but
yeah,
COVID
not gonna happen.
happened.
Not gonna happen.
No out of country visits right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but okay, so like just a random question. I cannot imagine like you had like 100% confidence about like having a business partner you've never actually physically met.
yeah, I mean, it was a little kind of nerve-wracking a little bit to try to, talk myself into that. I mean, I like her and we get along extremely well. Like I said, we were friends for a year or so before we decided to go into business together. And I feel like we have similar personalities and so on and so forth. But yeah, the idea of like starting a business, with a different person that I've never actually met is a little nerve-wracking. But I don't know, like when we finally started going through the process, it just felt right. It felt good. So, and I mean, I haven't regretted it so far. So we're just gonna keep going.
And now I'm curious. So if you both already had like web design businesses before creating your own business, so what happened to those separate businesses? You closed them down or you merged it?
We basically merged it. So those businesses themselves are no longer operating anymore. We took our audiences that we had and we told them that we were changing things up, and we merged our email lists, and she had a Facebook group and we merged that, and just kind of just rebranded everything and just brought it all together. So
wow. It's like two single moms with their kids, like getting married, and then now you're like one big family.
Pretty much. That's kind of what it is.
Like, hi Kevin, this is your new mom, Janet. Wow. Whoa, that's like a big like leap of faith to take. It's like, I mean, we've been conversing for a year, yes, but like I have never actually met you. Like, wow.
I know. Yeah, it was a big leap of faith, but I mean, it's kind of one of those things. Like, I think women get such a bad reputation with other women.
Yes,
always the women are catty and women are pissy and women can't be friends with other women, and I think that's garbage. So I think if we just forget about the drama and we're not competing with each other so much, then we can all succeed. I don't see any reason why we can't. There is plenty out there for all of us. And so that's what Rachel, my business partner, that's what she and I had always done. Like, we never competed, even though we both had web design businesses focused on the same type of client, and we were marketing in the same places. We never competed with each other. If I saw on a Facebook thread she was pitching something, then I would typically skip it. And she did the same thing. And that was kind of an unspoken rule between the two of us that we did. And, we never saw each other as like competition, because we were looking out for each other.
Oh, that's so mature of you.
So I mean, it kind of made sense for us to come together on that, because we were never trying to be better than the other one anyway. So it really it worked well for us. And I think that's one of those things about female friendships that people tend to forget about. It's not a competition. You don't have to be better than the other person. So we just did that with our business.
Yeah, congrats. Woo. So let's talk about the actual web design part. So your background was in tech, and you learned about WordPress and the marketing aspect, the social media aspect, as you kept moving around. And so now, typically, I tend to do my website myself, since I had a similar background in tech, and I also learned a bit of design also from YouTube and all that. So, but I have seen other websites people have made by themselves that makes you go, okay, that is beautiful. Now let's get an actual professional to get this done. Like, now, what advice can you give and what tips can you give?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing that a lot of people miss when they're trying to DIY their website is that your website doesn't just need to be pretty. It needs to be functional. It needs to have a purpose. A lot of people tend to skip that part, and they think that, oh, I just need to have a website that tells people, who I am and what services I offer and how they can contact me to book an appointment. They think that that's it. And while that is a big part of it, you need to be able to really tell people what is happening next. It's all about understanding who your ideal client is and understanding what they truly need from you, and making sure that they know what the next step is. If they land on your homepage for the first time, you need to be able to relate to them in some way and say, I know who you are. These are your pain points. These are the problems that you are having in your business, your life, whatever it happens to be. These are the problems that you're having, and this is how I can help you. And I can help you in X, Y, and Z types of ways. And you need to lead them on a journey. And a lot of people tend to miss that. It's all about setting up a sales funnel. Essentially, your website is one giant sales funnel.
Yeah.
And it really should work that way. People tend to also put too many options on their websites. They'll have, oh, I've got a podcast, and I've got a blog, and I've got an email list, and I've got these products, and I've got these services, and X, Y, and Z. They've got a million things going on. So it can be a little overwhelming for a new customer to look at your website because they don't know what to do first. They don't know where to go. So you have to kind of hold their hand and lead them through it. If you want them to go and read your blog post, then you need to say, go read this blog post. You got to make it clear, very, very clear. I always say, if a 7-year-old cannot navigate your website, it is too complicated. It needs to be simplified. You don't have to have everything on there. You need to lead them to one end goal. So what is the goal of your website? Do you want more people on your email list? Then tell them, join my email list. Here's my opt-in. Here's my freebie that I'm offering you. This is the kind of benefit that you're going to get from it. Subscribe to my email list, and then you use your email list to get them to purchase. Or if you are a freelancer, social media manager, something like that, and you want people to book a call with you, then you need to talk about your services throughout the entire website. Talk about your services and how they help people, not just, oh, I'm really good because I can do all of these cool things. It needs to be about your audience. The entire website should be about your audience. And I feel like that's one of those things that a lot of people just tend to skip over. They make it all about themselves, and they don't focus on who is coming to their website. So people don't want to hear about you. They want to hear about themselves, because people are selfish that way. We just are. we are. we want to talk about ourselves. So if I go to your website and you can tell me the problems that I'm having, and I can relate to that, because I'm like, oh, you know what, I am having that problem, and you can tell me that you can fix it, awesome, perfect, I'm going to sign up with you. So that's kind of the biggest thing, is understanding who your ideal client really is and making sure that you are talking to that person all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then right now, I guess so I've seen this in some Facebook groups that I'm in, where when we talk about our websites, at least when you try to make a website yourself, then you start thinking about how to optimize it for mobile, how to optimize it for search engine, how to reduce the load speed, and how to not have so much images that really take up all that space. So there's all this sort of thing that you need to keep in mind, at least the technical aspect of it. So what's your advice for like female entrepreneurs who are either like doing it themselves or they're outsourcing it and their budget is a bit on the lower end of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, so Google SEO, and I'm going to say Google because they're the largest search engine, but it's really for any search engine. It's all about focusing on the customer. It's all about the client experience, the user experience. That's what Google's primary focus is. That is how they choose what articles and what blogs and stuff, what websites go into the first page, the first couple of spots, because that's golden territory. That's where you want to be. They focus everything on the user experience. So it is all about making sure that it's easy to navigate, not only for your users, but also for the Google search bots. Like if Google can't figure out your website, they're never going to show it to anybody. So keep it simple, keep it fast. One of the best ways of doing that is minimizing how many plugins that you're using. A lot of people, especially for WordPress, tend to think that they need a plugin for everything, but you really don't. If you have a good theme and you have a good builder, and especially a good builder that can do a lot of different things without overwhelming your system, then you can really eliminate so many plugins for all of your stuff. Most of my websites tend to run with like 10 or less plugins, and that's kind of it. You really don't need a lot. But all of those extra plugins will kind of slow things down. If you are uploading images that are massive and they don't need to be, that will slow things down. I always suggest for people to go in and size them properly, and you can use a tool like Canva to just upload your pictures to Canva and resize them as you need to make them smaller. So that is a really great source. There's also online tools that you can use to minimize excuse me.
It's okay.
There are also other online tools that you can use to minimize the size of the file as well. I like to use it's a free website. It's called tinyjpg.com. And you basically just drop your files in there and it makes them smaller. And then you can take that smaller file size and put it on your website. So all of those little things can really help to make your site a little bit faster, make it function a little bit better. Because if you have a slow site, nobody's sticking around. If it takes longer than about 3 seconds to load, you're going to lose everybody. So making sure that those pieces are kind of a priority is really going to go a long way in helping you keep people on your website, because that's the whole goal, is you got to keep people on your website.
Okay, so in like the most basic beginner friendly words, because like right now SEO is like this big buzzword that everyone is talking about for their website, even when they have literally no idea what it is, but they just sort of know that you need to get your website to rank in the first pages. So like what's like I guess your top SEO 101 tip for female entrepreneurs?
Yeah, SEO is a massive topic. Yeah, it is. It is one of those things that it can become all encompassing if you really want to learn about it. So really the biggest thing for new people is to understand that ranking on Google takes time. Google does not trust new websites. So most people are going to be expected to be in what we like to call the sandbox for at least 6 months for a brand new domain, the domain being the URL for your website. So yourbusinessname.com. So Google pays attention to how long you've had that domain. So domains that are very young, unless you are really killing it in the SEO department, they're typically going to be pushed to the side.
Yeah, your domain
Versus
authority is almost zero anyway.
yeah, exactly. You're going to have a much lower domain authority because you have no authority because you're brand new and nobody knows who you are. Nobody's ever been to your site and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of one of those things to realize that it's not going to happen overnight. SEO is also not a set it and forget it type of thing. It is something that is always growing. It's always evolving. There are always ways of kind of building upon the foundation, but the foundation should be, at least focus on the simple things, making sure that your site is fast and it's easy to navigate, making sure that you have meta descriptions on all of your pages, making sure that you have.
Oh, by the way, for people who don't know what meta descriptions are, if you use a plugin like Yoast, Squarely, or Rank SEO, that's like the title of the page, then the description, and like that target keyword. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you can, if you're using something like Yoast, you can add it in. It shows up at the bottom of the page on your WordPress dashboard. And you'll be able to add it in. And basically what the meta description is it is the description of the page that shows up in Google. Like if you go to Google and search anything, you'll have the name of the website, the URL for it, and then a little kind of description piece. That's the meta description. So you want to make sure that you put that in, because otherwise Google is just going to pick some stuff off your page, which may not be what you want. So go ahead and write that stuff in, because Google will pay attention to those things. Google will also pay attention to the alt text in your images. So basically what the alt text is it is the wording that is put in place for visually impaired readers of your website. So essentially they will use a screen reader, and when they come to one of your images, it will read the image for them. So that is one of those user experience pieces that Google really pays attention to, because Google's first priority is making sure that its customers are having the best experience, and its customers happen to be people doing searches. So Google pays attention to all of those things. Are you paying attention to all the people coming to your website, or are you only focusing on the people who can actually, see? Are you working with that? So, and you can update the alt text in the media file right there on WordPress. Pop up in the little side. You can do your title of the picture and the description and but it says alt text, and just type that in there. What is the image of? And that's also a great place where a lot of people will throw in those keywords, and keyword research is probably a whole nother podcast.
It is. Plus, if we talk about that, they will have to talk about the keyword stuffing aspect of it, which people tend to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, keywords are a big topic. But I mean, if you're really wanting to know about SEO, I would just highly suggest taking a course on it. If that's a big component of your business, if you are planning on only focusing on Google SEO, you're wanting to have a blog, so you want to make sure that your blog posts are getting ranked and that you're going to organically get all of those customers to your website, then absolutely focus on SEO. Take a good course in it. Stupid Simple SEO is hands down like my favorite.
Which one?
Stupid Simple SEO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one's absolutely one of my favorites. But if you are planning on having a different type of marketing strategy, like you are planning on finding leads through Facebook or Instagram, or really just funneling people to your email list and talking to them that way, then you may not have to focus quite so much on the SEO aspect. While it's smart to never forget it, it may not have to be your primary focus, because it is a big component.
It does. It is. It does
It
not help that
is.
that's what everyone talks about these days, like SEO, SEO, SEO. Like, okay, calm down.
Yeah, but it doesn't, it's not for everybody. You know, if you are making say you're making a very simple website where you just want people to find out a little bit about you and be able to book services from you, but you are going to focus all of your time on Instagram, and you're really only using your website just to get people to book calls with you, then you probably don't have to have this massive SEO strategy, because
Yes.
you are working on your Instagram strategy,
Yes.
which in itself is a whole nother thing. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's all about focusing on where your audience is and what they are doing. Like, how are you finding those people? SEO also is one of those things, like, it works best for not just for the long run, but also to get your site found faster if you have new content. And new content means blog posts. So, I mean, if you are going to be putting out a blog post every single week, or, something along those lines, and that's how you want to build up your website, then absolutely focus on SEO. But if you're not planning on having a blog and you're getting all of your leads from social media, then just do kind of the basic pieces that you need to do, and
Yes.
don't
Yes.
stress about it.
Yes.
That's not where your audience is coming from anyway, so don't stress.
Yeah.
Google will still find you. Google just won't find you as quickly, but that's okay, because that's not where you have to focus. So
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
do
that makes
anything you don't
sense.
have to do, because running a business is hard enough as it is.
It is. It is. There's already so much to focus on. The last thing you want to do is stay up at night worrying about the SEO aspect when you're not even an actual expert in the first place. Just let it be. Yeah. So I saw on your website that your website design mostly focuses on WordPress, right? Yeah. So, like,
Yes.
as a WordPress expert, a WordPress guru, what like top 5 plugins do you recommend that website owners should have on their websites?
Yeah, so you should always have a security plugin, plain and simple. I like WordFence
Oh,
personally.
same.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, WordFence is great. You want to be able to keep hackers out, because it doesn't matter who you are going to have people trying to break into your website. I
Yeah, even
promise.
if it's one
So you
day
got to have a
old,
way to keep those people out.
which
So
is so
security.
weird.
Oh, absolutely. The second that thing goes online, somebody is going to try to break in. And I've heard some horror stories about what happens when they break in. So have
I have
security.
as well.
The other thing is,
Yeah, it got
the other
hacked.
thing that I would focus on is a caching plugin.
Mm-hmm.
So the cache is essentially little bits of code that get left over every single time someone comes to your website. And the purpose of that is to make it load faster for that person the next time that they come back. Kind of caching in a nutshell.
Mm.
But the problem with keeping all of that excess code is, if you go through and you update some things or whatnot, sometimes the old code interacts with the new code, and things don't show up quite right. So having an easy way of flushing all of that out and getting rid of the old code is awesome. So I really like a caching plugin. If you use SiteGround for your hosting, the SG optimizer that pretty much comes standard is awesome. Otherwise, W3 Total Cache is a good one. So those work. I also always suggest a image minimizing plugin. So I really like Short Pixel, because I feel like it compresses my image files without losing a lot of quality, which is great. So, I mean, compress those images, make them smaller, because
We like a lot of
images
plugins.
into small sites or way too slow sites. So
Yeah, we like a lot of similar
let's see.
plugins.
Oh, do we? Good. Apart from that, an SEO plugin. If
Yes.
you are not going to have like a really heavy SEO strategy, then using something like Yoast is great, because it's nice and simple and easy, and it's easy to work with. You don't need the premium one. No one ever needs the premium one. using just the regular is fine, the free one. But if you are focusing on a stronger SEO strategy, then I really like Rank Math. That's kind of my go-to for a stronger strategy. But if you're not focusing on SEO, Yoast is fine.
Yeah.
Let's see. Apart from that, if you do have some sort of like blog, or you're wanting to make sure that people can share articles or podcast episodes or whatever it happens to be, having a social sharing plugin is always very helpful. So something like Grow. It used to be called Social Pug, but it's been renamed to Grow by Mediavine. That one is a good one. Nice and simple, and just, can help you easily share your stuff. But those are kind of the ones that, I use that don't come from like my theme or my builder. Like I like to build my websites with Elementor.
So I use Divi.
Have like Elementor builder or an Elementor Pro builder and stuff like that. So, but it depends on what builder you want to use for your website.
Oh, that makes sense. So have you ever sort of like experienced this scenario in which your client already has an existing website, and then I guess for some reason or another they're not very happy with it, or it's been hacked one too many times, and then you have to like create like a new website strategy and a new website for them? Does that happen a lot, or people come with you like fresh domain?
No, most people that come to us for a custom design, so, basically just brand new website from the ground up, most people who come to us for that are established business owners that already have a website that either is not working well for them or that their business has simply outgrown, which happens. You're in business for a couple of years, and then you're like, what, this website no longer really matches what I'm doing right now. So most of our custom clients do tend to be people who have already had a website and they're looking to change things over. Especially too, because new business owners generally are not prepared financially to invest in a custom website. A lot of people don't understand why it's expensive and why, they have to pay somebody to do all these things.
Yeah,
they do. Oh yeah, I can totally just do that. But people who have been in business a little while, they realize that time is money, and they can either spend 100 hours working on their website, or they can put 100 hours towards working with clients.
Yeah.
And if they're working with clients, they're probably making more than they're spending on the website.
Yes.
So that's typically how we generally see those custom works. I mean, don't get me wrong, we totally have a soft spot for the startups. We really do. We actually have recently launched a line of WordPress website templates, specifically for those startups who are looking to DIY their website, but they just don't want to deal with trying to come up with the entire thing.
Yes.
We do. We have a soft spot for the startups. We want to help women succeed in business. I mean, we really, really do. I think especially online space and tech spaces and stuff, it is very male dominated, and it doesn't have to be. Yep. The feminist in me is like, no, let's take it back.
Yes, I wanted to ask, like now, since you just confirmed that most people who come to you already have an existing website, so are there any downside of completely revamping your old website? Because now I'm assuming some links I'm not going to point. Some links are going to get broken, obviously. So like, what's the downside to like changing your entire website?
So basically, so there's a couple of ways that you can do it for redoing a website. So you can either, one, go and tweak the current site as it is, but I typically find that to be more time consuming and more difficult than just making a new site. So generally what we will do for our clients who already have an existing site is we will just build them a brand new one. We leave up the old site while we're working on the new one, and we go through and we change everything. We make it geared towards our clients' business as it is, what their goals are. We really talk a lot about the goals and who their clients are, because we want to make sure that it flows well and it matches their business. So we'll go through and we'll make a whole new one. And then once that one's ready to go, we just replace them. The new site replaces the old site. We make sure that the links match up like they're supposed to. Like if you've got a Instagram links page, for instance, and we'll make sure that the URL for it is the same so that it goes to the same place, or we'll put in any redirects that we may need to do. But we really do focus on making sure that it's a seamless process. We don't even launch it like in the middle of the day when you may have more people on it. We'll wait until, typically like the middle of the night. I generally launch client websites around like midnight or so, just so that I try to interfere with as few people on the website as possible, because we want to make that be seamless. We really try for no downtime for the client, for their website. So that's kind of the way that we do it. It's generally so much easier for the client as well to just make a new one, so that way you're not restricted to what was already there. You have freedom to expand and grow and make it truly match what you need. So
okay, makes sense. And when you're changing this website, do they have to post about it or email their mailing list that we are changing our website? Do you have to do that?
They don't have to. I think it really depends on what about it you're changing. Like if you're doing a full rebrand and you're changing the business name and you're changing the services that you're offering and you're changing who your client is, then yeah, you should probably let people know that things are going to look significantly different. But I mean, if you're keeping, the basics of your branding in place, and you're just changing up the website and changing up the layout of it and, the functionality of it, then it's probably not that big of a deal. It's not a bad idea to go ahead and let people know, like, hey, we got a new website, go check it out. But it's not really one of those things that's going to make or break your business because you changed your website.
Okay. And so now that you've said what we should do, let's go about what you should not do for in terms of web design, do not.
Okay, do not make it all about you. First and foremost, it should never be all about you. Not even your about page should be all about you.
It just says about.
Yeah, it is still about your audience. So don't make it all about you, for starters. The other thing, pay attention to what the fonts look like. Make it easy to read. I cannot tell you how many times I go to people's websites and I see these beautiful scripty fonts all over the place. And they're gorgeous, but they are so hard to read. Don't make it hard to read.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, and do not, please do not make the entire background a dark color.
Dark theme.
Black background with white text through the entire thing is just so hard to read.
Yeah.
It just gives you a headache after a while, and it makes it hard for your eyes to focus. So it's you can do it in bits. Absolutely. Change up the color blocks and do it in bits. Totally fine. Go for it. But just don't make the bulk of it that way, because it does get very hard to read, and it's going to cause a lot of eye strain on your audience. And that's not going to work, because then they're going to leave.
Yeah.
And you want to keep them on your site.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Plus, if it's part
Yeah,
of,
so
if
just
you need it that badly, just add like a dark mode in there somewhere.
yeah, you can have like a dark mode, and then people can do that themselves, totally
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, don't make that the standard for the entire thing, because it becomes very hard to read for long periods of time, especially if you do have like a blog post and you've got like all these
Ew.
words. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. um the other thing is make sure that you pay attention to what it looks like on a cell phone, because probably at least 90% of the people who ever come to your website are going to check it out from a cell phone.
Mm.
I see a lot of people that they'll make their website look great on a computer screen, but
Yeah.
then as soon as you go to it on a cell phone, like the words are weird or the text is too small. I say a minimum of an 18-point font, minimum.
Oh,
For all your
that's
text.
big.
Yeah, if you can go up to 20 without it looking weird, then do it. Like, make it bigger because it's easier to read that way and it's easier to skim. You got to be able to break up those big pieces of text and make them easier to skim through, because most people, I'm sorry, they're not actually going to read your entire website because everybody's busy these days. So most people
Okay.
aren't actually going to read the whole thing. So you got to make it easy for them to find the information that they're looking for. So
Mm.
don't use teeny tiny text. Don't squish all the words together. Make sure that there's enough space. Make sure you have headings in there to kind of break things up. Make sure you have images to break things up, just so it doesn't get stagnant. Because trying to look at your website from like this teeny tiny little cell phone screen can be very difficult. So you just kind of have to focus on those things. Oh, and for the love of God, stop using pop-ups.
Why?
The only acceptable pop-ups are exit pop-ups. Do not,
It's
do
on
not
mobile
make
or on desktop.
desktop is the exit pop-up
Yeah.
works, or if you want to do it for mobile, wait until the person has scrolled all the way down to the bottom of the
Yeah.
screen to send the pop-up. Do not have the pop-up be the very first thing that someone sees when they come to your website. Because if I have to click out of 30 pop-ups and different ads and all these different
Ish.
things before I can
Terrible
even
user
read your content,
experience.
I'm not staying.
Yeah, yeah. It's a terrible user experience anyway. Ugh.
Yes, always focus on the user experience. So pop-ups that I gotta click out of, and some of them are difficult to do because like the X button is like
Yeah,
teeny tiny or you can't find it. And like I
exactly.
said, yeah, it's like I'm looking at it through my cell phone, and if I can't get that stupid X button to
I just
click,
reload the
I'm
website
not
and see if it
sticking
comes up
around.
again.
Yes. Yeah, so just
Oh,
be wary of the pop-ups.
yes, yes, yes. Oh my God. Yeah, and um, you said use Elementor Pro to make your website. Do you recommend using specific themes or using like a website builder in terms of like flexibility and any future growth? What would you recommend as a web expert?
Yeah, so I love the theme Astra. They have a free version that is fantastic for a free version of a theme. It's awesome. But then the pro version is just phenomenal. I really like it though because it's kind of bare bones. You can adjust everything on it. It's not as restrictive as a lot of themes tend to be, and I can pretty much just delete everything off of it and build it out how I want to, which is great. Which is something that I look for as a web designer. I also really like it because it's very small, meaning that the file sizes and the coding for it is very small and compact compared to a lot of other themes.
Yes.
So small code makes for faster websites. So I love Astra, and then I build these out with Elementor, the Elementor page builder, because while it could go through and custom code the website, it is a lot more expensive for the
Yes.
client for me to do that because it is so time consuming. But it's also one of those things of it makes it more difficult for someone else to be able to take over their website. And, if the client wants to change some colors around, or they want to change their text, they've got to go through all these lines of code to find that piece. And that's obnoxious. Nobody wants to do that. So I built all of these client sites out with Elementor because it's a little easier to work with, and it's easier to use, and definitely very user friendly. Because my goal is not just to create this great website for them, but I also want to give them the tools that they can have to be able to control their website moving forward. Because if they, don't get me wrong, I love being, staying on as a retainer to like help them with their site. But if they feel like they have to hire somebody anytime they want to change some colors around, or they want to add a new service, then it's not a good site for them, for that business owner. It's not a good one. So that's kind of the goal. So yeah, Astra theme, the base theme with the Elementor page builder is my dynamic duo.
Yeah.
I love it. It's what we build all of our sites with. They're fantastic. We've used other builders, but a lot of them can be really kind of complicated and
heavy.
If you ever try to change from them, they leave all of this extra stuff. Like Divi, for one. Divi is kind of one of the page builders that a lot of people hear about. And it's one of those things, like the websites are beautiful. You can make some gorgeous stuff with Divi that is very functional, and it does a lot of stuff, but it's a big theme because it can do so many things. The code for it is massive.
So I can relate.
Very likely to slow down websites. And if you ever change from Divi,
there's code snippets.
Oh yeah, it's got those short.
Yeah, I know. I use Divi, so I know the snippets everywhere, and I know it's so heavy. So now I have like total W3 total cache, and then I have like a CDN, then I have like a minifier. So that's small as possible. But I know that having to have those 3 different plugins around Divi is probably an issue.
Yeah, it's all about keeping this website fast, because ideally you want to get your website to load ideally in a second or less, which sounds crazy, but for online world, like it's got to be less than a second. Yes. So especially depending on what business that you're in. Have you ever tried to find a recipe and you're like standing in the middle of the grocery store trying to pull up the recipe from a website that you found on Pinterest, and then the stupid thing doesn't load? So nope, taking too long. I'm in the middle of the store. I'm going to go find a different one. So, depending on what kind of business that you're in, you want to make sure that it's fast so that people can get on your site and find their information very quickly. So people have no patience these days. We are all about instant gratification.
We're also spoiled.
Yeah, we are. We are very spoiled.
What about backups? So, how often would you recommend, like, your clients or female entrepreneurs listening to this, even those who either have a website designer already or you're doing it yourself? So how often should you back up?
I always suggest backing up daily, to be honest. And now you don't have to keep all of the backups because that is just a waste of space.
Yeah.
But I always suggest backing up at least daily, because then, you always know that you have those available. Like if you haven't been to your website in like a week, but then you go through it and you want to make some changes, you want to do some updates, and then it crashes, now you've got like a whole week's worth of stuff that you got to deal with. But if you do the daily backups, it works really well. Updraft Plus is a good plugin for backups. Now, depending on who your hosting company is, they will typically do backups for you as well, but it can be a little more difficult to get in there, find the right backup, find the right database, and go through those pieces. So, having it available to you is generally a little bit easier, but having a good host is key. I always suggest having a very good host. It's not about cost, it is about quality. So. But yeah, being able to do your own backups is really helpful. And like I said, I typically do daily, and I'll keep the latest 3 backups is generally how I'll set it up.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so, we've covered a lot. Is there any question I should have asked that I did not? Something you want to talk about?
No, I think we kind of covered it. I mean, the biggest thing is just, you know, before you even think about starting a website, you should really just have your branding really figured out, like, and not just the colors and the fonts that you're going to use, but it's all about who your client is. And you need to truly understand who that person is, and what they're looking for and what problems that they have, so that you can make sure that all of your content matches that person. I mean, it shouldn't just be the content on your website. It's the stuff that's on your social media. It's the stuff that's in your emails. It's the products that you offer and the services that you offer. It should all be geared towards this one person, this one avatar that you've created for your business. So pay attention to who that person is. And then from there, everything else tends to fall into place, because then you know what kind of images that you need to use and what kind of fonts will attract them the most, and you know what kind of wording that you should put on there, and the colors and stuff that will attract them, because it's all about attracting that person. So focus on that first, and then start building your website.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And are there any misconceptions that people have about what let's say a website designer does, or maybe the misconception they have about what website design really entails, something of that sort?
Yeah, so a lot of people tend to think that we're just making pretty websites and that's all we're doing. But it really is so much more than that, because we focus a lot on, you know, like I talked about, like that ideal client. We really try to understand who that person is from our clients, but also we do a lot of market research to figure out where they're hanging out, so that we have a better idea of what they're looking for. We really focus on the strategy piece of the website rather than just the visuals. Like I said, you're a massive sales funnel, and we really try to focus on that sales funnel piece. Like, we also, one of the things that we do is we talk a lot with our clients about helping them to understand what they need from their website. You know, we talk to them about their business and what their plans are and how they're planning on growing, you know, in the next couple of years or whatever it happens to be. And we really try to understand the ins and outs of their business, so that we can make sure that we are setting up a good website strategy for them. One of those other pieces of having a proper website designer is, you know, finding out the other things that they're willing to do. You know, will your website designer write your copy, or at least help you with your website copy? Will they do the SEO stuff more than just the basics of the meta descriptions? You know, are they going through and optimizing all of your images? Are they going through and adding in the alt text? Are they going through and adding in the schema markup? Are they going through and setting up your Google Analytics and Google Search Console, and like putting together all of those tools that you need, and then teaching you how to use it? Because it's one thing to just throw it all on there, but if nobody teaches you how to use it, then what good is it? So if you're in the market looking for a website designer, or at least contemplating it, don't be afraid to talk to them and like really get them to answer all of your questions. If the website designer is not willing to answer your questions and tell you exactly what they are going to do, then feel free to move on. It's fine. You can come and talk to me. I will talk to you all day long and tell you all the pieces that we do. You know, because it's about feeling confident in your decision to outsource, but also in your website after it's done. If you get your brand new website and you're like, oh, it looks great, I don't want to break it, then something needs to happen. You need to be, you know, your website designer needs to kind of hold your hand and kind of walk you through those different pieces so that you feel comfortable with it. So yeah, a lot of people tend to think, oh, they're just making the site look pretty. I don't want to spend that kind of money on it. But
Yeah.
it's not just about that. It's about all of the other pieces involved. It's about dealing with the tech, dealing with the SEO, putting all the strategy together, doing the market research, and then teaching you how to use it afterwards. So there's so much more than just building a website. So
Yes. And you just mentioned that they can talk to you. So how can they talk to you? Like, how can they contact you and know more about, what exactly you offer? So, because you had mentioned one, you have templates for startups. Then you mentioned that you work with established businesses. So how can they know more about these two services?
yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our information can be found on our website. It's proofandpixeldesigns.com. So that's where our template shop is. That's where all of our courses are and all of our resources. Those are all on there. There's also information about our custom websites, where we'll build you a brand new website from the ground up. And then there's also information about our semi-custom websites, which is essentially you go pick a template and then we will customize it for you based on your business needs. So there's all of those kind of services that we have and we offer. So those are available on our website. And then we also have a Facebook group. If you are, frequently on Facebook and you want some more information and stuff, we typically do, live videos with different kind of tutorials. We'll run challenges in there, different kind of events where you have guest speakers. It is website strategy and design for unstoppable female entrepreneurs. So we are all about trying to help.
Please give me the link for that. So I put it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, we're all about helping people in their business. I mean, yes, we focus on web design, but that's only one aspect of a business. So we want to help people. We really do. Like I said, I want to help women break that glass ceiling. We're going to take back over.
Go Mallory! Go Mallory! Go Mallory! Woo! Oh, just say your website again. The website address again.
provenpixeldesigns.com.
Provenpixeldesigns.com. Okay.
Yep, because we are Proven Pixel Design Studio.
Nice. Yeah. So you'll probably find Rachel there as well. Like, hi, this is Rachel from Canada. Mallory's business partner she has never met.
Yes. Yeah, Rachel is typically hanging out in the groups a little more so than I generally am because thank you, COVID. I have no childcare at the moment.
Oh, wow.
My 2-year-old keeps me very busy during the day. So Rachel is generally on Facebook answering questions and talking to the people in the groups. And then I'm in the back, like building out templates and building out websites and doing all the stuff that I can do late at night.
Yeah. So. Well, that's an interesting dynamic where you are not able to spend as much time on the more social aspects because you have to take care of a 2-year-old, and then she handled the social aspect, but then you have to handle the other technical stuff, so to speak. That's a nice balance.
It is a nice balance, and I think that's one of those great things too about having the two of us, because we have been able to grow our business so much faster than either one of us would have been able to do on our own. I mean, I don't have time to do social media posts, so she can do it, or she doesn't have time to put together email sequences, so I can do it, or, so on and so forth. It's really nice being able to kind of bounce off of each other. The things that we can and cannot do. Because I mean, she has children as well, but her kids are older than mine, so they're a little more, self-reliant. So she can kind of let them go play outside and things like that, while she can do a little bit during the day. And I'm doing the nap time hustle, like praying that my child takes a nap.
Don't wake up.
Don't wake up. A couple of hours.
Yeah. I like the dynamics, and I like it especially because as female entrepreneurs, as much as we know we can't do it all ourselves, and ideally we should have like either a business partner or somebody we can at least talk to. We tend to keep quiet because we have this idea that if I say out my business idea, somebody would steal it. That's sort of really weird mentality. So it's nice that you have somebody that's understand that you have younger kids, so this timeline might not be the most what's the word, might not work the most for you, but then I can handle this aspect and then you can handle this aspect, that give and take. So that's a very nice relationship balance. Yeah, congrats.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that it really works. And, I hear all the time people are, always saying, oh, well, I really want to do this business, but I can't do it because the market is so saturated. And it's like, no, come on. There are 7 billion people on this planet. There is plenty of market out there for everybody.
Yeah.
If you feel like it's saturated in one spot, then maybe you go
Try a
over
different one.
here and you can still do the same business. You just market it somewhere else. That's fine. There are plenty of clients out there for everybody. So I don't think it's a situation like that. And it's really just, figuring out what works for you. I am all about working smarter and not harder. And if I can find systems to automate, then I'm going to do that. Or, if I have to find somebody else that I can outsource to because I just don't have the time to do it, then do it. Being an entrepreneur and working from home can be so isolating and it can be so lonely.
Yes.
So it's really nice, like having someone else to talk to. And I think it's important to have like that business bestie, like someone that you can truly rely on and talk to, whether they're in the same business as you or not. It just having someone that you can talk to that knows a bit of what you're going through is really helpful. Because
Yes.
I mean, I don't know about you, but my husband hates hearing about my business. I feel like he doesn't know anything that I'm talking about. He's like, oh, okay,
good for you.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't care at all. He's like, have fun.
Oh, I could relate. Like I have a business partner, Patience, and then she's like this really I don't want to say obsessive, but like really, really focused about sales. Then she gets into this like zombie mode. And I'm like, yes, I agree. I totally understand right now. And I got nothing in there. And then I started talking about like marketing and processes, or like the other day we were talking about a bit of SEO, because I had just taken this SEM rush class and I was so excited about what I learned, and I could swear I felt her zoning out in the conversation. I could feel her soul leave. But she kept saying yes, yeah. Sometimes like a few seconds late, I was like, ha, I'm onto you.
I completely understand. Yeah. Rachel is my business partner. Rachel, she has a background in marketing, so she is really excited about like sales funnels and email sequences and like putting together those sales aspects. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I can relate. Oh my God.
But then I'm like working on the SEO and the tech pieces and stuff like that. And she's like, I don't even know how you did that. So I'm glad you did it.
Good job. Good luck. Proud of you.
Yeah, so I mean,
I get it.
That's what it is.
I have one last question. So the I don't want to call it a downside, but one of the other aspects of working with somebody is that they're a completely different individual, with a completely different background, completely different understanding than you do. And sometimes even when you like have an idea and you say it out loud, they might not sort of like grasp it the way you did, and so that's that disconnect, that conflict, how do you manage that?
Do you mean more like working with a business partner or working with a client?
Working with a business partner.
Okay. I think anytime that you kind of run into that type of disconnect, I really think it's important to, first off, have an open mind. Don't just immediately shut it down because you don't understand it, but okay, I don't quite get it. Can you explain it to me? Break it apart. Break apart all the different pieces. Like, talk to me about how this is going to work from start to finish. And I think that that's kind of the biggest thing is really seeing all of the individual pieces and then understanding what the end result is really going to be. Because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, I'm going to offer like virtual assistant services. for entrepreneurs. Okay, cool. What does that mean? What types of services are you going to offer? What specifically are you going to focus on? What types of entrepreneurs do you want to work with? Those kinds of things. It's really about understanding all the different pieces that go into it. And so if you're working with a business partner, or you are working with a client, or even like outsourcing to your own VA or something like that, it's being very clear and truly understanding all the different levels of it, I think, is the most important piece. Because then if you can explain it, then somebody else can learn it. But if you can't explain it, then no one's going to get it.
Okay. So I guess try to break it down as simple as possible. Like, just so even if it means repeating yourself sometimes, just try to make it as simple so that they can sort of like grasp exactly what you mean.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, for instance, recently Rachel and I put together a beginner's WordPress course thing. But she wanted to offer it at a much lower price point than what I wanted to originally offer it at. And I was like, I don't get it. We're like giving this thing away. What is the purpose from this? And so she had to break it out for me, how she saw it fitting into our sales funnel and like what she wanted to do with it in the long run. And that helped me better understand her mentality. It wasn't just this was the price that she put on it because this was the value that she saw in it. It was this is the bigger picture and this is how it all fits together. And so that made it easier for me to understand, how she was like laying those pieces out. Yeah, being able to kind of break it apart and show where it fits in the grand scheme of things, I think is a big component.
Ooh, thanks. That's all the questions I have. Oh my God. So don't forget, you can learn more about Mallory and about her business at provenpixels.com. Right?
provenpixeldesigns.com.
provenpixelsdesigns.com. And then she also has a Facebook group where she do lives and tutorials and I guess like a community of sorts, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a community of a bunch of different types of female entrepreneurs, but it's all about just helping each other grow our businesses in different ways. And then we like to pop in there with different advice geared around putting together the websites and the sales funnels and all those kind of pieces. So yeah, definitely come on by.
Okay. So the link to the website and the group would be in the description below, so you can just check it out. Oh yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me. This has been a blast.
Thank you.